Greetings, greetings, greetings. You are now tuned into the vault. Trust Christian on nothing, control everything. Just want to thank you for tuning in live, listening to replay. Always appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listening to replay, listening to the vault, listening to Trust Christian on nothing, control everything. Definitely appreciate everybody that tunes in live, replays. This episode right here is focused on an American dollar crisis. Episode 788. Definitely excited about doing this episode. This is one of those episodes where it's not a I told you so, but we're going to break down from the inside what we see. It is what it is. Whether you care or not, you think the system's rigged, you don't think the system's rigged, it is what it is. Trust Christian, we sit in a room with billionaires, we sit in a room with policymakers, and so we're going to have a conversation about the dollar crisis, the American dollar crisis. We're going to give y'all some reference points. Y'all can go reference these points, see if they're facts. Some people say, oh, I don't know where to get the real information from. You can reference information. It does take a fact pattern decision making thought process. Have to be able to recognize patterns. If people want to say that the American country is going down the tubes, is going to go plummet into the ground on the 250th anniversary, so be it. But at the end of the day, in the meantime, let's talk about the American dollar crisis. Because if it's been going on since the Federal Reserve, or if it's been going on since the money's been taken off the gold standard, what are you holding? Are you holding paper? So we're not here to ask that today. You know, everybody's so fascinated with Elon Musk. This man's got his money tied up into a paper stock. Is a trillionaire on paper. Oh, Trust Christian, what does a trillionaire look like living wise? What are you talking about? How does a trillionaire look? He doesn't look like a trillionaire. He looks like what he is. Maybe a multi-billionaire. If he is that. You know, this is Elon Musk. His focus isn't money, so his focus is building companies. That's why the company's worth $1 trillion. He's focused on building companies, not just taking money out of the company. People want to sit here and talk about the richest man. You have to take the money out the company to be the richest man. He can get fired. Some people might not know that, but granted, he is the founder. He's probably got things in place that says, hey, you know, I'm not going to get fired. Clearly, he's not even going to put some things in place. He's elite. You know, he's got things in place. You haven't heard of certain people getting kicked out of their company, but there are founders that get fired and kicked out of their company. That just happens. So, in this particular case, we're going to talk about the American dollar crisis today, which is, oh, you know, once again, the paper. We didn't mean to go off on a tangent about Elon Musk, but it's about understanding that. What are you holding? Are you holding the paper? The paper is the American dollar. A lot of countries in the world are going off the good faith in the American dollar. They're going off the good faith that the Americans are going to keep coming through with innovative ideas that the Chinese can steal. You know, they're going to keep coming up with innovative ideas in entertainment so other countries can, you know, learn how to do technology and a lot of stuff better. But the American dollar crisis, the paper, it's depreciating. It's been depreciating. They got a measurement against it in the country called inflation, which is an arbitrary rule. No one in the general population can tell you how the calculation's made, but they're carrying what they consider valuable pieces of paper in their pockets. They're carrying valuable pieces of paper that they're tying their entire lives to, their food supply to, their water supply to. Oh, Trust Christian, well, you know, the money supply, you know, it's all we got. Then some of us know that that's not the only supply of money. There are other forms of money, whether that is gold, whether that is silver, whether that is platinum, whether that is palladium, whether that is hard tangible assets. Once again, that people would like to consider diamonds, people like to consider pearls, people would like to consider collectible art. These are things that if they make it through a fire, and they make it through some situations, and they still good, people in and around the world, they have capital, they're gonna try to buy it with their gold, with their silver, with whatever they can so they can acquire that what they consider precious possession. But dollar crisis. Trust Christian, man, I don't really I'm not thinking about the dollar crisis. Exactly. Many are not. And that's why they're gonna fail. It's not, oh, Trust Christian, how do you master the money game? How do you master the money game? Are you diversified out of paper? No one wants to hear that though. Oh, Trust Christian, are you diversified out of paper? I don't know. I don't want to diversify out of paper. I don't know how to diversify out of paper. Diversifying out of paper. That's what we're talking about. Making it a point to say, okay, this currency supposedly is losing value. Oh, Trust Christian, I want to say this and say that. Shoot, we got people that come to the vote try to talk smack to Trust Christian all the time. Oh yeah, Trust Christian, what are you doing in equity? What do you mean, what are we doing in equity? We're in equity. We're in trusteeship. We're focused on equity. We're focused on hard tangible, not just intangible. Some people could say, hey, hard tangible, intangible doesn't have anything to do with it. But once again, we're having a conversation about whether it is intangible, because there are intangible assets. But the tangible assets, whether that is paper really an asset at this point? It's a liability. Why? Because at the bank, they charge you points if you don't do certain things with the money inside of the position that it's supposed to be in. Whether that's more deposit money in the account, you gotta have a certain amount of paper in the account. They got regulations in the public for paper now. Oh, you gotta have a certain amount of paper in the account. You gotta have a certain number of transactions a month with the paper. Who's taxing you on your gold? Who's taxing you on your silver? But I don't know about that, Trust Christian. That's all it is. And we're sitting here saying, hey, look, you might not think it's a dollar crisis. Oh man, Trust Christian, I don't want to say that. That's not possible. There's no way that could be true. I don't want that to be true. I'm going to tell myself something else. But alright, think about how much you touch paper. We're only verifying what you guys are touching. We're only verifying what you guys are going after. We're only verifying what you're utilizing to sustain your lifestyle. The food, once again, the water, the clothes you eat. Oh, George Christian, I thought we were here to talk about the crisis around it. And how to, what is the crisis? The crisis is, are you diversifying out because it's losing value by the day? This is not an accident. It's a planned event. Oh, Trust Christian. Yeah, this is a trust plan. Y'all want to know, oh man, how does it look like at a high level? It looks like people that put an organization together called the Federal Reserve in 1913 created a financial plan for the United States. But it wasn't just for the United States, it was for their families. And when they created the plan was to last hundreds of years. So how do you get in control and get in this position? You got to become a part of the Federal Reserve System, right? Right. But do you know how the Federal Reserve System works? Oh no, then, the Federal Reserve, Trust Christian, I know it's not a part of the government. I know the Federal Reserve's not a part of the government. Oh, you do? So are you a part of it? Because it's private, right? It's a trust, right? The Federal Reserve meeting minutes that you can read that are public to a degree. Oh man, Trust Christian, man, I'm not trying to believe that the Federal Reserve got it out for me and my family. Why would they not have it out for you and your family? You're not a part of it. Is your family a part of the Federal Reserve, or are you utilizing Federal Reserve notes? A note that says it can pay for public and private debts. A note that, to a degree, is being arbitraged against your liking. So how do we get around this situation? Trust Christian, man, it's the dollar crisis, man. It's the dollar crisis. I gotta get around the dollar crisis now. All this, you talk about this stuff. Trust Christian, I gotta figure out what to do, because the money, what is it? Is paper or what? What is value then? Or I'm gonna go to cryptocurrency because that's probably the next best thing. That's gonna be the digital stuff. How we get to this point, ladies and gentlemen? Because we got too many minors walking around and not enough majorities. And when you got minors walking around, they think that it's okay to accept anything. They don't know how to stand up for themselves. So then you get things called bullies. And now we got bullies on the block. They're called the Federal Reserve. And if you're not a part of the Federal Reserve, you're considered second class. Oh, trust Christian, is it really that way? What are you utilizing for exchange in the marketplace? Federal Reserve notes. People consider those things dirty and bad, and some people consider them great. Right. Some people understand that they're just a tool, a means to an end for public and private exchange. They get a public and private exchange can happen from the Federal Reserve. We understand that, okay, the Federal Reserve is a private organization. Oh, trust Christian, is this happening right in front of my eyes? I don't want to see this. I don't want to know that the government, that the Federal Reserve is not a part of the government. I don't want to know that. I want to know that they're the same. I want to believe that. That's what you want to do. You don't want to believe it instead of knowing it. So when you know, oh wow, trust Christian, the Federal Reserve is not a part of the government, right? You think the government's not sitting right there in front of your face telling you that? Well, how would the government not tell you that? Didn't the government tell you they was in debt? We were looking at it yesterday. What kind of garbage is the government giving you? Still in 2026, the government's giving you a 5 to 4% yield on their bonds. They're giving you a 5 to 6% yield, no more than 7% yield on their bonds. That means they're not making a lot of money. The returns are in the single digits right now for growth over year. Looks like inflation. Every year, what, 5, 6 points on the money? So did you really go anywhere? But the thing about it is, it's not about going anywhere. Why? Because the companies keep raising their prices. We were thinking about this the other day. We were thinking about a haircut. A haircut 20 years ago used to truly cost $20. And guess what? When it was 50 years ago, they cost $10. How much do you think a haircut for a male in America costs? The average male spends over $30 for a haircut. To get a lineup is $20. Oh wow. So if it's not, oh, I'm gonna get a haircut for $20, what happened to, oh, now I'm getting haircuts for 50 to 100, and we're talking about regular going into the shop stuff. Oh, they got a premium haircut place. What's a premium haircut? The clippers didn't change. The spray didn't change. The price did though. The price of what the clippers cost. The price of the spray cost. The price of the actual haircut cost. The price, yeah, a lot of things changed. Except for the value of the money. Did the value of the money go up? Or did you hear the government come on the public airways and say that it's losing value? They've already declared it a state of emergency. They declared it a state of emergency when they took it off the gold standard. Oh, trust Christian, how come we haven't seen death, mayhem, and destruction? We haven't seen the peril of life fall out of the sky. How come we didn't see the American economy lose and go down the tubes? Because they have innovation. They have other forms of capital. They have human capital. Their human capital is good. They actually have good human capital. These are people that come up with an idea and they're going to create it. They have great human capital. Is that what they're banking on, could we ask? The government and otherwise? Is the government banking on the fact that you're going to be ignorant and you're not going to know the tax laws and you're not going to know the laws? So think about the population. How many people are trying to go to school to become a doctor or a lawyer? You know? Oh, I want to get $500,000 a year. I want to make $1 million a year. How do you make that type of capital? Oh, then you got the younger generation. Oh yeah, I'm going to be some internet person, an influencer or a streamer. There's 30,000 millionaires being made every month in the world. There's 5,000 millionaires every year, every day in the United States are being born or being made, or 5,000 people a month. Okay. Do you have an idea that you can execute? We'll go micro, but overall, that's what the halfway prediction is. Oh yeah, we're all going to become millionaires. We're going to have to become all millionaires. We're all going to have to be millionaires. Why? Because 100,000 there is like 100. It's going to become like $100 at one point in the next 20, 30 years. Oh, so if you're living right now and you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to live for another 20, 30 years. Well, if you're going to live for another 20, 30 years, you're going to see the dollar get to the point where $100,000 feels like less than $100,000 right now. And when you get to $1 million, it'll be like, dang, it feels like I'm making $100,000 right now. Right. And people that are making millions will feel like, man, it feels like I'm making hundreds. And then people that have billions will be like, man, we got to stay away from those billions. I mean, stay away from those millions. Why? Because it feels like we have millions and we really have billions. Oh no, Trust Christian, but they got the richest man in the world now. This guy's a trillionaire. Like, what are we talking about here? There's a trillion on paper, there's a trillion on the company, but it is one of the few companies. What's a few in the world? And we will see this because of the money supply. Yes, the money supply. Yes, because of the American dollar crisis. Yes, we will continue to see trillion-dollar companies. Not because their company is more valuable than 10 years ago valuations or 20 years ago valuations. It's not about the valuations. We could say it's about the valuations, but it's about the money supply. But it has to be subtle because this is an elite move. This isn't for the novice. This isn't for the non-strategist. When they set out in 1913 and created the Federal Reserve, it was created with an intention to literally be an institution forever in the United States. Oh no, Trust Christian, this is how it is. Look, yeah, you guys see it. You see, it's been around maybe with your parents, maybe even with your grandparents. Federal Reserve's been around. It might still continue to be around 2 or 3 more generations. So if you're comfortable with that, just know that they're here to play the long game. They set out to play the long game 100 years ago. They showed themselves solvent and management savvy as far as their management. So then what are we going to do? Oh, Trust Christian, man. I've been waiting for this part of the episode. I need you to tell me what I'm going to do. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? We don't even want to tell you guys to diversify, because some people would take that to heart the wrong way. Some people would say, oh, I'm going to diversify. Right. We're running entrepreneurs. Oh, yeah, I got one business. Okay. If that goes sideways, oh no, economy changes, markets change. We'll give the United States credit for what it's credit for, which is the free market. But as far as the dollar, how is the Federal Reserve a part of the United States? It's a private organization. Oh, okay. Yeah, Trust Christian, thanks for letting us know what we already know. We know the Federal Reserve ain't part of the government. Okay. But are you sitting in the rooms with people that sit on the Federal Reserve boards? Oh no, Trust Christian, I haven't gotten that far up. I don't know where their high hanging fruit is. You can go to the website. The information is at your fingertips. As everybody that's rich would say. Everybody's living in the rich world. They're living in an abundant world. We already know. The information is at your fingertips. But oh no, Trust Christian. The playing field hasn't been leveled out. It's about color. It's about race. It's about creed. It's about religion. It's about everything to divide individuals from doing what? Focus on becoming the best that they can be. What some people try to say, oh, you gotta focus on your purpose. Focus on your purpose. What? A lot of people ain't on purpose. So why would they be doing anything with money on purpose? They just doing what their family said to do. Hey, get a good education so you can get a good job and live and be independent and live on your own. That's all it is. But did your family educate you about the money? You think families that are educated around the Federal Reserve information aren't educated in a certain piece of information? Of course they are. We know people that have their families own banks. And what we're saying is the dollar crisis, we don't want to tell you is diversification. So that means, okay, now you're going from dollars to something else, dollars to gold, dollars to silver, dollars to hard tangible assets, whether that's, collectible this, collectible that, art. Oh man, Trust Christian, I'm gonna take my money and put it in art. That sounds stupid. Right. Exactly. That's how stupid it sounds. Oh, Trust Christian, why would I do that? Why would I take my money out of money and put it in a collectible art piece that is supposed to appreciate and go up while I have it? Right. Because it's an asset. But how is the paper that you're holding an asset then? Simple as that. So, okay, we don't want to tell you it's diversification. A lot of the leaders will say maybe diversification. Some leaders would tell you bury yourself down in your industry, but that wouldn't be that could definitely not be the wisest advice. And we're a fan of monopolies for sure, but uh, uh, when it comes to staying in the same industry and then getting washed out because of a policy changing or economy changes, things change. Like that's just life. Things change. The wind changes, the weather changes, business is going to change. Bottom line, probably a few constants, and one of them is change. We know what's inconsistent and we know what's consistent, consistently consistent. Oh yeah, Trust Christian, 100%, 100%. We can tell y'all that if we're in a dollar crisis, ladies and gentlemen, the country's already stated that it's in an emergency. The United States, as a country, has officially gave people a remedy for utilizing the de facto system of the Federal Reserve. They said we're going to coin gold and silver as hard tangible capital. They created this program so now people in the private and people in the public can hold hard tangible value, gold or silver or whatever that is. That's what that is. Hard tangible value. Well, I don't have enough money for certain ones right now. Okay. But this is one of those situations that some people could say, oh, Trust Christian, it's only a homeland security problem. It's only a homeland security problem. Not at all. When you got these countries that think they're funny, think like Japan, who's holding a ton of United States paper Federal Reserve notes, holding debt notes, literally holding a debt note. How are you in power holding a debt note? I own your debt. Oh, the Asian countries, they own so much of the United States debt. You're not in a position of power. You don't understand who you're dealing with. You're dealing with the United States. The country doesn't have a problem with filing for a bankruptcy. And if it comes down to it, if you want to play with different bigger weapons, we can. That's how the United States handles these situations. So when you want to sit here and say, oh, well, the dollar's diversified in these countries, and well, maybe when they wake up and they say, oh man, we're holding actual dollars. You're holding a debt note. Now, to Americans, we should be excited. Why? Because they're lowering your debt cost. Because you're at home, the cost of the debt is cheaper at home than it is abroad. They're charging these countries for bringing in dollars so they can have foreign commerce operated through dollars. The only question is, why is Americans a fan of these countries not staying on the dollar system? And we get it, because if you truly understand or care or don't care, it's like, hey, well, it's the Federal Reserve System. What difference does it make? My family's diversified properly out of it, so why would I care? That's how some families would think about it. So we're talking about, okay, internationally, they're holding dollars. These countries think they're smart. Oh, I'm gonna hold American dollars. I'm gonna hold American debt. If you're not holding a debt, what are you holding when you hold paper? It's literally a written on paper IOU, 20 equal values, or 100 equal values, or 5 equal values, or 1 equal value. That's what we're talking about. But oh no, no, Trust Christian, does it sound like that? No, it doesn't sound like that. We're okay and comfortable saying that. We already know that the money supply is not 1 for 1, 20 for 20, 100 for 100. Because if that was the case, they wouldn't have this thing called inflation. But they have a number that tells you, okay, this is a debt note. We're issuing it for various debts. For that reason, sometimes we'll keep debt on the books, sometimes we'll wipe debt off the books. In turn, that fluctuates the so called, okay, so here we go. You got intrinsic value and you got nominal value. Which one did it affect? The intrinsic value of the dollar is what? The paper that is written on, the wood, the ink. The nominal value is what the marketplace says. Oh, we got to add an equation to it. So we're going to put money in, take money out. We got an equation for it now. We got a nominal value for it now. That's where we are, Church Christian? 100%. We got a nominal valuation for the money now. We can't just say a 20 is a 5 today. You can't just say a 10 is a 20 today. Because it doesn't have any actual intrinsic value to a degree. It has nominal value. Most of us aren't going to sit here and say, oh yeah, Trust Christian, I'll give you. Oh, most people aren't making those type of trades. They're not making those type of exchanges. How are we going to operate in this environment right now where there's so many asleep? There's so many walking around thinking that the Federal Reserve is part of the government. This is public information, ladies and gentlemen. Trust Christian not saying anything, oh man, Trust Christian, you're telling me something that's abnormal. First of all, if it's not a governmental organization and you are under the veil to continue to think that this organization, we understand. You might be upset about how powerful they are. Now you're seeing power at work. Now you're seeing what generational wealth looks like. Oh no, Trust Christian, I ain't gonna build generational wealth. The Federal Reserve is what generational wealth looks like. Oh, I'm gonna build generational wealth, Trust Christian. Yeah, right. Oh man, Trust Christian, for real? Do I gotta be a Federal Reserver? Do I gotta build something that big? No, you don't have to build something that big at all. You don't have to build anything that big. But do you have to be in the rooms and do you have to read the minutes of the Federal Reserve? If you're utilizing Federal Reserve notes, yes. Oh, Trust Christian, for real? Look, ladies and gentlemen, think about this. You have been born into a system that you might not even know what you can fully do with the money that you have. Why? Because all you got was the telephone game for the information at that. Oh man, the telephone game for the money. They gonna tell me how much the money is and what the money is. But did you read about it? Did you study where the origins of the money? Oh man, Trust Christian, I didn't get around to that yet. Exactly. Didn't get around to it yet. But yes, there are definitely, Federal Reserve publications that you can read that are pretty old and standard. That yes, they're gonna tell you about the money supply. Oh, we had a trustee come on the line the other day. Oh man, when I first came to this country, I knew it was something. I knew something was better than the everyday thing of getting up and going to work. I knew it was something better than this. I knew it was something better. I knew it. Yeah, you knew it, but you didn't know it, but you knew it. And you knew that there's common information and then there's elite whispers. Trust Christian doesn't need to whisper it because the elite at this point have put systems in place to say, hey, even if I got enough of a distraction in front of you that you're not going to get what you need to get. Bottom line. So they elite media stations. What makes you think the media is putting out accurate information? Oh, trust Christian, but because it's on the internet, it's on the TV, or it's on the news, it's supposed to be accurate. Okay, like the news has truly been reported as false information for a significant amount of time, to where if you are engaged in this information flow, what do you want to say? Trust Christian? Oh, trust Christian, tell us what it is. You're just being programmed. We could almost ask you what's going on in this situation, and they would tell us. But if we were to ask them, once again, is the Federal Reserve part of the government? They may or may not even know. They might try to lie to you. Might try to tell you, "Ah, that's not accurate, but it is true." Right? Because they don't have a full answer on it. Because they don't understand. They don't. They're focused on the false information. They don't know how to parse out the information properly. Just because it was on the TV or the internet doesn't mean it was accurate. So you have to verify. You can verify things from multiple sources, not just one source. But hey, if it comes on a news station that's owned by the same person, the same brand, and they just got multiple TV stations, different color, different name, hey, it must be accurate, right? Okay, great. We don't just depend on that information, ladies and gentlemen. People say, "Oh man, I need to know how the wealthy people communicate." Whether y'all want to hear this or not, we're going to go ahead and always tell y'all, because it's interesting. We could easily pull up right now how often wealthy people communicate, which even if it wasn't daily, ladies and gentlemen, it will always be weekly. So a lot of people don't know that. They'll say, "Oh, trust Christian, how long do we need to go, in between, communicating with other wealthy families?" We can tell you guys right now for sure, weekly. Why? The information that we're talking about gets actually publicized in the Financial Times, the New York Times, Barron's, what's the other one? There's so many of them. Reuters. These are magazines that you have to pay for. So some people could say, "Oh, trust Christian." You think about it. Back in the day, they had the newspaper stands, right? And there's a certain piece of information come by. You get the newspaper. You might have to scratch up some pennies to get the newspaper, but that's where ideas are, because that's where wealthy people are communicating. Wall Street communicates on the newspaper. That's wealthy people. You get industries communicating through the newspaper. That's just how it is. Okay, so some people could say, "Oh, well, the news, the broader news as scope, pretty much tried to supplant what will be considered just great ideas." What great ideas are you getting from public information? Trust Christian and us, we could sit here and say that we look for great ideas. We look for innovation. We look for things to make ourselves better. So how are you gonna get that? And then the information that's pretty much just telling you what's negative going on in the world. How they gonna give you a financial idea? And not only that, the mentors say you gotta listen to people that already did it. So that's where the internet kind of broke down the wall and said, "Hey, look, you don't have to be next to this person, but you can definitely emulate this person. You can get the information that they're working with." That's fair. We have mentors that worked on Wall Street. They'll tell you straight up, "All right, the only difference between some of the major firms and you right now is they have more people going over the same information." "Oh, trust Christian, I thought you were going to tell me something crazy." They have more people going over the same information. "Nah, trust Christian, tell me something that these guys got secret insider information." If you think that, great, keep thinking that. There's not the case. They have more people, and since you have more people, this is why DEI just doesn't matter, because when you have more people, you have more diversity of thought. But usually what happens is, in bigger firms, like a bigger firm, JP or whatever, we can't speak for their firm, but we can say some of the bigger firms, they don't want you to think. How about that? Come in here and process. But some people could say that's not true. You don't know. We do know. Of course they have think tanks. Of course they want innovators in their company. They also want process oriented people. People that understand Once again, we're the Federal Reserve. We're not going out of business. That's not even a question in our mind. So if you come in here for the trusteeship position, these are the things you're required to do. Otherwise, you're going to be fired. Now, a lot of people can't be fired from their family estate because that's that. So think about it. Do you have the standards in place for your family estate? If that's just that, the standards. Okay. So we get back past the standards. Now we're gonna get back to what? The dollar. What's the standard of the family estate? Last time we checked, is the Federal Reserve holding just dollars? Or are they holding gold? People don't even want to look into it. Because they only holding one asset. Or they holding one thing. Paper. Dollars. And the American dollar crisis, you guys will see. It's gonna be, it's funny because you see a lot of the wealthier billionaires right now. Oh man, the dollar is, it's gonna be a crisis. You can't drink debt forever. They keep saying this. Think about it. It's like the James Adams people of the 1800s, before they called the Great Depression, before they called where they put the Federal Reserve in place, or where the Federal Reserve is put in place. That's the case. Really, 100%. There were people saying back then, "Oh yeah, you guys want to protect yourselves. Maybe not in gold and silver, but think about it. The media is different now. There's more media now than it was back then, so it could be more of a distraction now. But there are many people that got wiped out, and they keep saying that it's going to be another wipeout. Oh no, Trust Christian, it's not going to be a wipeout. How's it not going to be a wipeout when they say that there's a dollar crisis and they say the middle class is eroding in front of your face, in front of your eyes? Oh, the middle class, man, it's not going to be a middle class soon. At one point, it's the middle classes. Y'all have heard these conspiracies about the so-called middle class going to get smacked up and wiped out. But oh no, Trust Christian, I don't want to believe that. Yeah, of course you don't. Because you're living off cheap debt. People haven't seen 16% interest rates. They don't even know what that's like. People don't even know what it's like to have above a 12 to 15% interest rate for real life. Not, oh, I just got to buy a car or something. No, the house now. So when they talk about the housing shortage, we could just sit here and keep laughing at it. It's a lot of speculation. It's a lot of information around it. But how is there a housing shortage when at one point people just are not going to be, if the price keeps going up? Think about the real estate market. The whole real estate market is predicated off the price going up. That's how you know the system is not rigged. It's just right now there's a dollar crisis. The value of the dollar is losing losing value so fast that the price for the house has to go up. How's the house going to stay at the same price when the money's losing the value? Not the house, the money, the paper. But I don't want to believe that, Trust Christian. Why you think the value of the house keeps going up? Why does the cost of the eggs keep going up? Why does the cost of the milk keep going up? Why does the cost over a period of time? It doesn't happen in one day. It doesn't happen in 1 year. It doesn't happen in 10 years. It doesn't happen in 50 years. It happens over a extended period of time. So this is a buckshot warning to our families that are in the room that are saying, okay, we are playing a long game, Trust Christian. We are playing for generational wealth. Well, if you're playing for generational wealth, that means that you're not going to sit here hard broke and stuck on cash. We're fans of cash. We don't disagree with cash that much at the vault. We're not discouraging people from holding cash. We're not. Like, that's not the vault's position. There's, once again, the companies on the stock market are pretty much, it's just one note for trillions. You have a company, right? They started a company, right? It's on paper, right? Right. And it has value through their shares that have been denominated in dollars. And in turn, it's been valued at $1 trillion on paper. Okay, great. Does he have a trillion pieces of paper that he spent or can spend? No. It's $1 trillion on paper. It's $1 trillion valuation. And we don't know if Elon has the ego enough to say it's all his, but at the end of the day, Elon has a bunch of people that he works with that are very well off financially because of him, and they are helping him build that too. He didn't do it by himself. So there are quite a few wealthy people going over and building this company that have money out of in the company too, a stake in the $1 trillion company. But we get it. When you're the CEO, you have a good smile and you're talking wild. You know, you're promoting the company. What do you think you're gonna do? You're gonna be the face of the company. It's $1 trillion organization. Doesn't mean he's a trillionaire. Oh, he's the richest man. Remember when they used to say that about Bill Gates? Oh, Bill Gates. Y'all think Bill Gates not rich still? Y'all really think Bill Gates is not rich? And oh man, but first of all, we could dang near say Microsoft is $1 trillion company. Y'all want to go there? Let's go there. $1 trillion companies. Microsoft is one of them. So what are we talking about? Y'all think that he don't y'all think that Bill Gates doesn't have any say in that company still to this day? Oh man, he just sold he what do you think he did? He sold himself off into the sunset. He rode off into the sunset. Okay, Berkshire Hathaway. Berkshire Hathaway. Wait, what's that? What's this guy's name? Warren Buffett. He just stepped down from that. They're valued at over $1 trillion. Did he step down? I mean, did he? Does he? Do you think he? Does he? It's $1 trillion company, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, he's the richest man though. The other thing, first of all, if y'all really want to know, the Walton family right now in the public, for the most part, is still considered one of the wealthiest families if they all sit at the same table at the same time. Sam Walton has divided his wealth up at least 4 times, and they're still in the top 20 richest families in the world. That is a significant amount of concentration of wealth when we talk about capital. But oh no, Trust Christian, what you gonna sit here and talk about money? I don't want to talk about money. Well, that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about the dollar crisis. It is what it is. It's the dollar crisis. Oh man, I don't want to think about this. Well, cool. You can stop listening. But for the rest of you all, we're going to continue to pour on value. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not Trust Christians sitting here begging and pleading you to say you got to diversify in gold and silver and you go panic. You don't need to panic, but you definitely want to prepare the family estate properly. We have to prepare the family estates properly. The family estates are not to be sitting here holding cash and just holding hard cash and running through cash and playing with cash and just dealing in major cash and just all that's all we're focused on our whole life is cash. We get it. It's a very tempting thing. You know, it's an everyday thing. It's not gold hasn't become an everyday thing or hasn't been an everyday thing for a while. You know, our ancestors were using gold and silver. They were using gold and silver certificates. So we cannot say that we're that far off from those individuals for holding and exchanging improper assets. But as it stands right now, there is a currency that's losing value as we use it. Now, if you want to continue to value your labor in that, that's a whole nother subject. What we're saying is the actual dollar itself. Oh man, I don't think that well you think these people are smart, Trust Christian. You think the Walton family smart? They're the ones holding all the dollars. Elon's holding the dollars. They're holding the dollars. You think they're smart? Okay, how about you go check these people's holdings, true holdings, not just the paper assets that they hold, because they diversify. That's why we're not against it at the vault. Some people say, "Oh, Trust Christian, you talking about diversification? I'm gonna diversify out of what is that? I'm gonna diversify out of the dollar into what? What am I going to diversify into?" And sure, they want to bypass the goal and say, "I don't want to buy that. I want to buy something else. I'm supposed to buy a house, Trust Christian." Then think about how much they're stealing your wealth through a mortgage with interest on it. Why would you have interest on a mortgage in the United States at this point? But people don't want to hear this. They do have interest-free only mortgages. That's just being honest. There are countries in the world that literally doing 50-50 at this point. They're doing interest-only mortgages. It's like, what is that? Are you just paying the interest? You're not paying the principal, so you're never going to own it. Y'all hear this type of mentality? They're doing interest-only mortgages. But oh no, I don't know how my wealth is being eroded. Man, them charging you them points on your money. Come on, man. It's definitely anything charging you interest is it's points on your money. It's points on the money today for the cost of the value of it for tomorrow. But you're paying for it today. And then how's it? It's not like you're paying with something that's going to gain value tomorrow. It's actually losing value. The paper that you're using. Oh no, Trust Christian. I don't know the solution. We're gonna go ahead and tell you our solution, which is the bottom line. It's the undeniable solution, but it's gonna be a hard reality. Why? Because Trust Christian, I don't want to be that. That makes me look greedy. That makes me look like I'm something that I'm not. Oh, we know that. You ready? The family estate has to have a lot of dollars. It has to have an AUM. We're not gonna sit here and say that it has to have cash, but it definitely is gonna have to have a lot of cash. You want to be cashed up. Generational wealth is cash at this point. Most people would consider it cash. How they valuing Elon as the richest man when it's just cash. It's paper. It's just paper. But I don't know, Trust Christian, I was raised not to want paper. You know, the love of money is evil, right? Ain't that what people say? Right. So how you gonna make money then? How you gonna get the paper when your beliefs and your emotions is wrong towards it? Cool. We gave y'all the solution. It's grabbing a whole bunch of cash. Why? Because it's just losing value. Not because you need more of it, but because it's losing value. So when you want to pay for things, you understand you're not paying for things based off the value of the product itself. You're paying based off how many dollars you have. That's it. The more dollars you have, the less you think about the cost of something. Why? Because we know that the dollar is losing value. So the cash that you're using doesn't mean that the product is more valuable now or less valuable then. It just means that the actual tool that you're using, the paper that you're using, you actually can see it before your eyes. And you know that even if it is losing value, you just have more of it. You have more of it. Appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listen, replay. Always appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listen, to replay. Christian at trustchristian.com. Once again, that's Christian at trustchristian.com. Definitely excited and wanted to do this episode. Wanted to talk to the people about this whole situation, man. You know, so many people, they say, oh, Trust Christian, you know, I'm just going to hold the dollar. I'm going to keep doing everything in the dollar. Man, we're going to see generations get wiped out. Generations going to get wiped out. How you going to make it and you only focused on paper? Oh, man. Think about it. The house is paper. How's the house not paper? They have a legal title. The legal title encumbers the family estate to if it has to pay taxes. Now, some people in certain states say, oh, about the homesteading. Man, tell us how y'all get around property taxes. We know how to do it. But do you know how to do it? Oh, man, Trust Christian. Yeah, man. I don't know how to get my property out of my name and blah, blah, blah. And a mortgage. We got people sitting here on the internet. Like fools galore on the internet, man. This individual said, oh, Trust Christian. And they didn't say it directly to Trust Christian. They said, you shouldn't put your house in an LLC. Now, granted, when we say that, it's not legal advice, financial advice. So, okay, great. We're not saying that either. But they said that you shouldn't do it. Why would it not be good? They're trying to warn you that bad things could happen. Due on sales clause and all silliness. Duh. But why would someone do that without doing their homework? Oh man, because Trust Christian people make stupid ideas and blah blah. No, that may be the one that does the stupid idea or the wrong way to doing it. But is that supposed to be the way that most of us are supposed to be doing it, or the way that is more actually the best way to do it, or the right way to do it? Of course. Why would not putting the family estate in the right position, business over personal, be the right way to do it? But oh no, no, Trust Christian, I just want to keep people taxable so the government can keep taxing them and making money off of them because of their ignorance. Exactly. Why the people in the government, they not paying taxes, they figuring it out. They figured out the tax code. Donald Trump figured out the tax code. Because we sit in the rooms together. Oh man, Trust Christian, how you learn tax code? Because I sit in the rooms with other wealthy families. I sit in the room with the politicians that tell y'all it's a democracy. Like, Trust Christian has no problem with saying it. Because a politician is taking some type of oath, or it is what it is. We're not against them. First of all, that's a blanket term called a politician. Not all politicians consider themselves full life politicians. Some of them, they in there with agendas. People just don't want to hear that. Oh man, they in there trying to help the people out because it's politics, man. Okay, that's what you think. Then when y'all hear about Donald Trump in here, and it's like, man, Donald Trump, one of the most, this is a businessman. It's like, we couldn't even sit here and get upset about nothing this man is doing right now. This man is literally just going in with a pure. Well, y'all saw The Apprentice. Y'all need to go back and watch these episodes so you can get an idea of this man's personality. This man is trying to, whether you want to say he's trying to change history, or do business, whatever. But this guy's gonna take risk. That's what you gotta know. He's gonna take a risk, man. He's gonna let people do stuff. This could be it's the wild, wild west right now over in the States. We should be happy it's not the 80s, because it might be if we don't know it, but people don't want to hear that. Oh man, I don't know what the 80s were like, Trust Christian. I wasn't born in the 80s. I don't know about the 80s and the 70s when America had IBM and these companies, and they were just dominating the world. And yeah, and then you get these companies again that are dominating the world, and it could be the 80s again. That's why we consider this the roaring 20s again, where this is a time where, yes, you gotta be making it do what you gotta do. If the money supply is going down, if the dollar's crashing, you gotta be focused on going ahead and getting a bunch of capital. Bottom line, your human labor is going to be great, but the financial rewards right now. If you got this guy in office right now, he's over here signing paper left and right, signing papers for this, signing papers for that. He's signing papers for everything. Once again, he's going to take risks. He might sign contracts in that he might not even read. No one wants to hear that though. Oh, Trust Christian, is how could he do that? He's the president. Because he's more of a businessman than he is a politician. Why would he try to sign something in to help people out when that's not his role in life? Really? 100%. That's not his role. His role is what he's been. He's a businessman. This man's just gonna sign some papers into existence, and next thing you know, damn near probably have a new Federal Reserve by the time he finishes in office if something go wrong. Why? Because that's the personality type. It's business. It's not, oh, I need to help, get, he's not trying to go out and create some social programs. He's cutting social programs. How we get around this though, Trust Christian? We gave y'all the answer. Sometimes it comes off as like, oh, Trust Christian, there's no solution. There is a solution. There is a solution. The only solution is to get in trusteeship and start acting accordingly in the free market. If you don't have it, you already know what's going to happen. We got to get comfortable at this point saying it's going to be fuel for the fodder. That's the reality of life. But if you know that your family, if you're saying, you know what, we're going to make a conscious effort, we're going to make sure in the universe and the universe of consciousness that our family is going to get, our name's going to do something. I'm going to be known for helping my family, blessing my family with an inheritance. Then you already know what time it is. You know, okay, we're going to write this down on paper. We got an express trust. We over here doing it the right way. And we sit in the rooms with the Rockefeller style families. Bottom line, oh yeah, Trust Christian, I'm sitting in the room with we gotta sit in the room with the Rockefeller families. If you're not sitting in the room with the Rockefeller families, who are you sitting around? Don't tell me that, Trust Christian. I'm not. I ain't. These people, which I want to talk smack. Oh, these people are evil. They're the ones that created the Federal Reserve. They're the ones that created the paper that you're using. That's a known fact. It's on public record. The Rockefellers created the Federal Reserve on Jekyll Isle. No, 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 Trust Christian. I don't care about history. I Trust Christian, can you just give me the solution, man? Can you give me the solution? I just need solutions to the problem. Because you sitting over here telling me, I know it's something going on with the money. I know this, but I need a real solution. How do I get my money up right now? Let's go there. Everybody want to sit here and ask that question. How do I get my money up? It's like you're supposed to be making money already based off of your skills, talents, and abilities. That's just the reality. What can you provide to the marketplace? What human value can you provide to the marketplace? Okay, people end up doing that, but then they end up getting caught up into what some people call a rat race, where they get caught up with the dollar bills. They get caught up with the commercial paper, the debt notes. Okay, great. Church Christian, I'm trying to diversify out of the debt notes. I'm trying to diversify out of this debt note system. Okay, that's what we talked about on this episode. Nah, Trust Christian, man, it can't be that simple, man. It can't be that simple. It gotta be complicated because I want it to be complicated. That's all it is. Trust Christian, it's not really hurting me. I'm making real money over here. I'm making over 80 bands a year. I'm making over $100,000 a year. Trust Christian, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm making over $80,000 a year. Okay. We got trustees. Oh man, Trust Christian. Man, I make $1 million a year in my business. Okay, you're making $1 million a year. First of all, some of these trustees are definitely taking major tax hits. So when y'all sit here and talk about, oh, they making a million, y'all jealous of them making a million, y'all jealous of them making 2 million, y'all jealous of them making 5 million, y'all jealous of them making 10 million. Oh man, they making all this money, right? But they getting hit with the tax liability because they don't know. What you talking about? Oh man, I made $3 million last year, Christian, and the government took 1,000,002, man. Right. So you only made 1 point like something, 1.6, 1.8. Okay. Obviously, that's not a bad lifestyle. It's not a bad income. But quite a few would say, "Oh man, the guns hit me. What can I do?" People at that level are still asking that question. It doesn't matter what level you're at. So the question shouldn't be about what level we're at. The question should be, what can we do to preserve, which is the focus of all wealthy people, which is to preserve the value of the family estate. It's not out here trying to get a bunch of money. It's focused on preserving what we do have that's come in so we can multiply with less effort, becoming more efficient, becoming more effective. But that's challenging for many. Why? Because they just haven't been trained in the right system. It's like, oh, Trust Christian, give us the long answer. No, oh, Trust Christian is gonna give you the short answer. The short answer is a lot of people just don't have a system. They don't have a system. You gotta have a system in place. Oh, Trust Christian, what's a system? A system is something that will outlive you. Oh man, Trust Christian for real? 100%. You think Trust Christian is about to sit here and engage with people that don't want to sit here and put together something that's going to outlive them? What are you talking about? Trust Christian and us, we've been trained to be around people that understand how to put a system in place, that are focused on putting systems in place because they understand that they're going to die. They understand that. We understand that. We almost live every day like that. We're putting systems in place. If you started doing that every day, like I'm like when think about it, when somebody get close to the end of their life, they start planning out they start planning out stuff, right? Right. So why wouldn't you do that earlier? Because it's not people haven't been trained into that thought process. Right. Okay, well, nothing wrong with that. But at the end of the day, there's gonna come an end of the day. Trustees sit over on the line. We love trustees. We love y'all. We appreciate all y'all for tuning in live, listening to replay. Feel free to type into the chat where you listen to live, listen to replay. Definitely appreciate it. We just want to go ahead and say, oh man, Trust Christian, man. What they say? They say, oh man, Trust Christian. You know, it just be, they say a lot of stuff, ladies and gentlemen, and ultimately what it comes down to is just putting yourself in a better position by being in a better position. That's it. And that comes from being in trusteeship. That's the highest level of training you can get, dang near, because your politicians are trustees. The politicians are telling you they're a trustee for the United States. They say they got a temporary job and then they out of there. It's not their job, it's not their business, it's just something that they're temporary managing. Right. Well, how are they doing right now? Do they show financial savviness? Well, think about it. Why would the general population think that they need to be in an asset rich position when the government's not in an asset rich position? Really? Is the government in an asset rich position? Or they're utilizing double entry bookkeeping? Oh man, Trust Christian, what I gotta do then if the government's doing this? I'm gonna do double bookkeeper entry. That's what people do. They try to tell us that type of stuff for their business. Not even a big business, it's a decent sized business. Oh yeah, Trust Christian, I'm gonna do what they say, I'm gonna do the what is that stuff called? Oh, I'm gonna do double entry bookkeeping stuff. It's like, alright, ladies and gentlemen, that's fine. What we know is how much value are you going to create? We do our best to bring value on these episodes. Some people still sitting over here with heavy dollars in their hand. We know wealthy, we know some rich people. Not all of them for the most part, but some of them for sure. They're not diversified. They're just in cash, straight up, and they know that. But what happens is, okay, if you're gonna be just in straight up cash, then you got to take the position. It's a position. So some people understand, okay, I'm gonna diversify my position into other assets. Cash is an asset just like other things are assets. But how many people look at these things as assets as opposed to, oh, well, money is their everything. If I had the money, I always can break that and bust that down. Right. That's not how it works. Because you're going to need more of it at one point. Right. Well, you going to need other stuff too. Once again, we're just addressing on this particular episode the fact that you're going to need more. That you're going to have more. Why? Because the money is losing value. It's not about Trust Christian. Take your feelings out of it. Take Trust Christian's thoughts out of it. Oh, Trust Christian, I don't want to hear this from you. I want to hear this from a pretty lady in a red dress. It would make it a little bit more digestible. No, if that's the case, do figure it out. But that's not how Trust Christian is dropping it right now. We ain't the lady in the red dress. That's not how this is about to work. What we're saying is we're throwing out the statement, throwing out the conversation to say, hey, how am I thinking about my thought process and my strategy towards the situation? Because as it stands right now, Trust Christian, you out here just grabbing a whole bunch of dollars. You damn Skippy. Is Elon grabbing them? Elon grabbed the trillion, didn't he? He grabbing a damn bunch. Why wouldn't you grab a bunch? Oh man, I don't want to do that. That's fine. But for the rest of you all that's talking generational wealth, we're going to go ahead and talk to the generational wealthers and get off of here. For the generational wealthers, ladies and gentlemen, you got to have it. There's no way around it. Appreciate you all for tuning in live, listening, to replay. You got to have it. You got to do the same thing Elon's doing. He understands the dollar's losing value. The rest of us understand that. But do you understand that? We got wealthy elite from the top right now saying it's a dollar crisis. Oh, how many of your friends, quote unquote, or people that you know, quote unquote, that are actually talking about that on a daily basis? Why? Because no one wants to talk about it. And that's why the money supply was changed in 1913. And that's why the money is going to be changed again at one point. Why? Because if you don't have control over it, because you definitely don't own it, then you got to figure out, okay, I don't need to own it, but I definitely need to focus on what's the best asset to control right now, and it's not just paper. It's not just paper. You're diversifying the assets properly. You want to diversify properly. If you're going to diversify properly. So we appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listening, replay. Always appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listening, replay. How many people are listening? Feel free to type into the chat where you're listening live from. Once again, Christian at trustchristian.com. Once again, Christian at trustchristian.com if you want to reach out. Peace and joy.